Good morning, and welcome this morning to what I'm calling the dark side of Christmas. I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 2, the first two verses, but you may want to read all 18 verses of the story later on. Verses 1 and 2. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." Don't you find it interesting that the first person named after Jesus in Matthew's account of the Magi is Herod? Who is this Herod? He was the first and greatest of the Herodian dynasty. He was an accomplished builder of great monuments and structures. He left an indelible mark on the landscape that was the backdrop of Jesus' ministry. He built the temple in Jerusalem, a harbor in Caesarea Maritima, and he built the desert fortress of Masada. But he made a man-made monument, a mountain, the highest peak in the Judean desert, 3 miles southeast of Bethlehem, that is the site of Herodian, Herod's palace. All this building was definitely good for the economy, but it was meant for his prestige. Along with Mark Antony and Cleopatra, with whom he was associated, Herod was one of the great actors on the Roman stage in the 1st century BC. He was both illustrious and evil. He was a paranoid tyrant who maintained a secret police, was known for executing his rivals, including one of his 2 wives and 2 of his sons, but was most well known to us for the infamous act of an attempted assassination of one of his rivals while that rival was still a baby. Welcome to the dark side of Christmas. You see, when the Magi come to Jerusalem, their coming set off a series of events with disastrous consequences. Herod is called king, yet he was not from the line of David, nor was he from the Hasmonean dynasty of the Maccabees. He was pronounced king by the Roman Senate. Friends with Caesar Augustus and Mark Antony, he had ruled by the time of Jesus' birth for over 30 years as king of Judea, and was becoming increasingly paranoid. So to have distinguished visitors come inquiring of the baby born king of the Jews meant a legitimate heir to his throne and rule, one that needed to be stamped out. Because Matthew is telling us the story of a king born in the time of tyrant kings who owed tyrant kings nothing. This is the glad tidings of good politics brought to us at Christmas. And Herod was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. The final outcome of the arrival of the Magi was inevitable. A death squad was sent to kill the baby and all other babies in Bethlehem, just to be sure. Now, Stanley Hauerwas, American Christian writer, in his commentary on Matthew says this: "Too often, the political significance of Jesus' birth, a significance that Herod understood all too well, is lost because the church, particularly the church in America, reads the birth of Jesus as confirmation of the assumed position that religion has taken within the larger frame of politics. That is, the birth of Jesus is not seen as a threat to thrones and empires because religion concerns the private. The Gospel of Matthew, however, knows no such distinction between public or political and private. Jesus is born into time, threatening the time of Herod and Rome. For the light of the gospel to shine truthfully, we need to be honest about the darkness into which it shines. All through history, tyrants know how to deal with enemies. You either co-opt them or you kill them. Usually, you co-opt the rich and influential and kill the poor. The divine invasion of Jesus' birth into the dark time of tyrant kings gives us a choice. We can trust in the armed brutality of violent power, or we can trust in the naked vulnerability of love. We have to choose between the way of Caesar and the way of Christ, between the sword and the cross. We have to decide whether we will pledge our allegiance to the empire of power or to the kingdom of love, but we cannot do both. At this time of Advent, we not only look back at the birth of Jesus, but forward to his return. The King of all kings, born in the darkest of times, is the light of the world who challenges all darkness and one day will be Lord of all. Amen.